and 12 for more compelling content as we take you through the journey of current affairs, spirituality, motivation, and entertainment. Upi, we're taking over from there between 12 and 3, doing what she does best with the invasion, as well as DJ LT, shutting it down in the afternoon between 3 and 6 p.m., where we do radio according to you. And it's radio on demand this year. We'll tell you all about it as time moves forward. 20 minutes now after 9 a.m. and time for us to get straight into our moments in current affairs.
This is KNR Radio according to you.
All right. Stories as they happen and as they come to us. So we give you as they come. Connie Hariram, Ward 3 councillor in Newcastle, allegedly made the recording after ward elections in February and sent it to WhatsApp community group. This is the KZN Cogta MEC wants answers over the inaction against racist DA councillor. In it, she said the election of then Abatu Bantu Progress candidate Thandeka Reid in February 2022 was the worst and most stressful day. And I quote, "I'm so disappointed that I would cry. What some of you have done has really disappointed me. That lady Thandeka is a black lady and we were all Indians there who voted for her. The Indians, the people that I'm talking to right now, their people and families voted for her," she said, close quote. "I'm very disappointed and I don't know what to say and what to do," close quote. Contacted for the comment, Hariram referred queries to the provincial leadership. Now, the DA provincial spokesperson, Ngema, said the party had taken the action on the matter. He said when the allegations surfaced, an investigation was launched and concluded before the end of 2022. Open quote, "The councillor in question had admitted guilt and expressed remorse. The DA will now consider the investigation's outcomes along with the admissions made by the councillor," close quote, said Ngema. Now, he also said, "I've made a number of attempts to ensure that this is dealt with, but there is no progress. The municipality was aware of this and even went as far as reporting it to the Human Rights Commission in December." Are we still there? Are we still there? Why is interfaith marriage in India getting dangerous? Interfaith marriages in India have been a sensitive issue for many years, with authorities and Hindu right-wing organizations disrupting weddings between Hindus and Muslims under so-called anti-conversion laws. Now, in one incident 2 years ago, Indian police stopped an interfaith marriage in the northern state of Uttar Pradesh, despite the consent of both families. Before the ceremony could begin, a police team intervened following the complaint by a local Hindu right-wing leader. In India, most marriages are still arranged by families. Intercaste and interfaith marriages are looked down upon and considered taboo in many places. In extreme cases, families have attacked or even killed couples for falling in love or trying to marry someone outside of their region. At least 8 states, including 6 governed by the ruling Hindu nationalist Bharatiya Janata Party, have passed anti-conversion laws that ban religious conversion solely for the purpose of marriage. Last month, in the western state of Maharashtra, the government formed a 13-member panel to investigate interfaith marriages in the state and maintain a record of couples and their families. Last month, the Vishva Hindu Parishad, a hardline Hindu group, launched a nationwide public awareness campaign in claiming that Hindu women are being caught up in love jihad and illegal religious conversions. Love jihad is a derogatory term used by Hindu right wing to describe an alleged phenomenon where Muslim men lure Hindu women into marriage and conversion to Islam. Hindu groups claim without evidence it is an organized conspiracy. VHP national spokesperson Vinod Bansal claimed that alleged practice was a heinous form of religious conversion. There's a strong need for enactment and stringent central law to check love, jihad, and illegal religious conversions. So, how did this become a crime? Well, it's something to look into and investigate, but hopefully something that people are able to look further into as part of us creating more tolerance amongst people, and also being able to consider ourselves more open-minded, in the sense that when people decide to form a union. It's not by mistake, and it's definitely not under duress. People fall in love because they fall in love, not necessarily because there was any thing untoward that was pushing them in that direction. President Cyril Ramaphosa and his predecessor Jacob Zuma are squaring off in court today. Basically, President Ramaphosa looks to survive leadership. He looks to survive a bid against him. In fact, that the court blocked Zuma's private prosecution bid. So there's a lot happening. Zuma contends Ramaphosa is an accessory after the fact in his case against prosecutor Billy Downer. He alleges Downer shared details of his medical condition with journalist Karen Moen. Zuma wants Ramaphosa to be charged for not investigating allegations against a senior public prosecutor. In education, our basic education minister, Angie Motshekga, is again defending the matric pass mark. She was responding to the comments by Build One SA leader Musi Maimane that a 30% pass mark undermines the intellect of South Africa's youth. Motshekga says this is a myth perpetuated year after year. The basic matric pass requires a pupil to have at least 40% in 3 subjects, including their home language, and 3 other subjects with a minimum of 30%. Motshekga says the 30% is not the required pass mark. Say good. Africa Melane interviewed Mr. Chris Yelland of business, the MD of Double E Business Intelligence. And a conversation was had about moving Eskom to Mantashe's energy department is like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. Oof, bars. So what does that mean? Stage 6 load shedding will be implemented continuously from 4 p.m. yesterday until further notice, Eskom says. Stage 6 has been reintroduced since Tuesday, but only during evening peaks. South Africa's energy crisis continues as government announced that oversight for Eskom will be moved to from Minister Pravin Gordhan's Department of Public Enterprises, the DPE, to the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, which falls under Minister Gwede Mantashe. It was Minister Mantashe who accused Eskom CEO Andre Tereta of being a traitor, leading to his resignation. Moving the struggling power utility to the energy department is as a result of the ANC resolution that the state-owned enterprise should be overseen by the relevant government department. Now, it's like changing, it's being said, and I quote, it's like changing deck chairs on the Titanic. It doesn't address the real problem. Whether Eskom reports to the DMRE or the DPE, in immediate terms, it makes absolutely no difference. The actual fundamental issues remain unchanged, so anyone who thinks this will cause a sudden change in direction in the energy availability factor is wrong. You have to address the fundamental issues. A time of crisis is also not the best time to introduce new change, he notes. A change in the way governance takes place may be the better in long term, theoretically, but in practice can be quite disruptive. And a time of crisis is not the best time necessarily because it adds another level of complexity. Whew. It gets deep, it gets deep. It gets deep like a swimming pool.
This is KNR Radio according to you.
Patriotic Alliance leader Gayton McKenzie has cleared the air on the Ditsobotla Mayor Elizabeth Letoko, resigning less than 24 hours after being elected. Letoko tendered her resignation to newly elected Speaker Fikile Jageni. In a statement, the party said it fully supported Letoko's decision. Responding to the questions online, McKenzie said the decision was based on the ANC wanting to appoint a municipal manager without the council seeing the applicant's CV. The leader of the ANC in the province wants us to appoint a municipal manager without us having sight of his CV. The matter wasn't even on the council agenda. Neither the council nor the mayor coalition partners were briefed about the obviously corrupt stance. We will not walk into an oncoming train. Speaking to Jacaranda FM, Patriotic Alliance leader Kenny Kunene said the party could not turn a blind eye to corruption and practice illegal practices. And I quote, "Our position is that even if you vote for our candidate to be mayor, we can't turn a blind eye when you do illegal practices. When you are corrupt, we cannot turn a blind eye, and we would rather resign. The power that we want to serve our people should not come at the cost of good governance." He said the ANC tried to sneak onto the agenda the appointment of a municipal manager. The item was not on the agenda, and that is not how the council works. None of the coalition partners, including the mayor, had seen the CV of this municipal manager. Right at the beginning of the coalition, the ANC wanted to bypass council regulations, and I continue to quote, they wanted to get items illegally on the agenda, so we said we couldn't be part of a coalition where council regulations and processes are being bypassed illegally. This sounds all too familiar, like something we've heard before. 29 minutes now before we hit that golden hour of 10. Remember, 20 minutes past 10, we'll be speaking with Mr. Unati Bengose. Sorry, 20 minutes to 11. He will be telling us a lot about the behavior in the Eastern Cape on the roads over the festive season, the statistics, how things have been happening and what has transpired on our roads, where we have improved and where there are still areas of concern, as we continue with Moments in Current Affairs. President Cyril Ramaphosa argues that the summons issued by his predecessor, Jacob Zuma, does not meet the requirements for a valid private prosecution. The president filed his head of argument ahead of an urgent interdict application tomorrow. Zuma accuses Ramaphosa of being an accessory after the fact. Downer and Moen are charged with leaking confidential information. Zuma is now going after the president for failing to act. And regarding Section 7, Ramaphosa argues that Zuma does not have a valid nolle prosequi certificate that one has to refer to. He does not apply to him. The certificate is issued if the National Prosecuting Authority declines to prosecute. On the alleged contravention of Section 9, Ramaphosa argues that Zuma failed to present a certain amount of money as a security before he issued the summons. The president contends for an urgent interdict before his scheduled court appearance next week. Ramaphosa explains that he would otherwise be forced to abandon his duties for an entire day to attend to court. Well, I think we all kind of have to do that if we're summoned to court, Mr. President. But yeah.
This is KNR Radio according to you.
The biggest contributing factor to our out-of-control crime rate is the atrocious policing, mismanaged from the national commissioner down to the units at station level and riddled with nepotism and corruption. Like the proverbial fish, the rot starts at the ministerial level, according to Mary de Haas. The story reads that Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, in his comprehensive report on the state capture, has identified the lack of proper parliamentary oversight as a key factor in allowing gross corruption to flourish with impunity. He has warned that it will continue unless Parliament does what it is constitutionally mandated to do, and that is hold executives to account. Parliamentarians, it seems, have no ears to listen to the treat Zondo's warning with urgency it demands. Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, while many of his commission's findings relate to looting and mismanagement of state-owned enterprises, it is those dealings with the intelligence services, including policing, which have the most serious implications for our country's security. The Commission's findings and recommendations reinforce those of the government-initiated reports post the Marikana panel of experts report on policing and crowd management and the high-level review panel on the State Security Agency, which stressed the urgency of taking remedial action, including the legislative. Finally, and further afield, in our beautiful but sometimes troubled continent of Africa, the Kenya LGBTQ plus activist whose body was found last week in the trunk was smothered with socks found in his mouth, a government official said Wednesday after an autopsy. The body of Edwin Chiloba, a 25-year-old designer and model, was found on the 4th of January in a trunk on the side of the road in the Rift Valley in the west of the country. According to our findings, he died as a result of asphyxiation caused by suffocation, Johansen Odor told a press conference after the autopsy. He was suffering from what we call cyanosis. When you look at his fingernails, they were bluish, which indicates that he was lacking oxygen when he died, saying that the socks were found in the victim's mouth. 5 people have been arrested in connection with the murder. Among those suspects is Jackton Odiambo, a freelance photographer, who, according to the press reports, was a lover of Edwin Chiloba and is accused of killing him. In Kenya, the LGBTQ plus people face insecurity and discrimination in a predominantly Christian and conservative society where homosexuality is taboo, as in many African countries. Same-sex relations are punishable by law with penalties of up to 14 years in prison. The murder of the young LGBTQ plus activist drew strong international condemnation. It follows the unsolved murders of several other sexual minority rights defenders, Sheila Lunumba, Erica Chandler, Joash Mosoti, according to the Kenyan National Human Rights Commission. With that, we come to the end of our first edition of Moments in Current Affairs. More to come as the program continues. Welcome and thank you for joining us. We know you could have been anywhere, but you chose to be with us. And for that, we are eternally grateful.
We are extraterrestrial. We are KNR.
And this is KNR. Radio according to you.
And now, South African music at its best.
On KNR.